Good morning. My name is Beth Albach, and I'm the program manager for the Southeast Pennsylvania APEX Accelerator, formerly known as PTAC. And I want to welcome you to today's presentation, which is Subcontracting as a Marketing Strategy. As a refresher, our mission at the Southeast Pennsylvania APEX Accelerators is to assist businesses in learning how to be successful selling to all government agencies, both federal, state, and local, through seminars like this one or one-on-one counseling. We are funded by a cooperative agreement with the Department of Defense, Office of Small Business Personnel, and are free of charge. All of our services are free of charge. There are many APEX Accelerator locations nationwide, and our Southeast PA office serves the counties of Bucks, Berks, Chester, Delaware, Lehigh, Montgomery, Northampton, and Philadelphia. So if you're joining us from a county that's not on this list, please let us know, and we can provide you with the contact information for your local APEX. Additionally, today's presentation is being recorded and will be available for future viewing on YouTube, and I will place a link to that in our channel and a link in the chat to our channel. Excuse me. So today we're joined by Helena Cuck and Claudia Hadley, both from the General Services Administration, Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. And I'm going to leave it up to the two of them to describe how their office assists these small businesses. And with that, I am turning over the presentation. Ladies.
Thank you so much, Beth. As Beth mentioned, my name is Helena Koch. I'm with the General Services Administration. Claudia, my coworker, Claudia Hadley, and I are represent the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization for GSA's Mid-Atlantic region, and we work one-on-one with the vendors who are interested in doing business with GSA. And we just wanted to go through one of the questions that I get very, very often is, how can I participate in subcontracting? And so we're going to go through a little bit of, give you some hints and some ways of getting into the subcontracting arena. And hopefully this will give you a head start. Can I go to the next slide, please?
Sure.
Okay, for today's agenda, as I said, I'm going to give you a real quick overview of GSA and my office, the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. We're just going to go through what we call a primer for subcontracting 101, things that you need to know and how you can, techniques that you can develop so that you can be more successful at contacting vendor, the primes to get your information out there and to participate in subcontracting. We're going to delve into the importance of market research. Subcontracting isn't just the effort of making a phone call and letting people know that you're around. You have to do a lot of work to be prepared to present yourself to the primes as a viable candidate for subcontracting. And that's going to include a lot of market research on your part. So we're going to just go through some of the basics of the market research. A quick overview of GSA is that GSA is a contracting agency, and that is what we were established for. It's our mission. Our mission is to establish contracts with vendors who can provide products and services to other government agencies. We are, as I said, a contracting agency. We're going to establish contracts with our vendors. We probably will never be the buyer of your product or service. We're establishing these contracts so that other agencies can access them, other agencies who might not have the expertise in contracting that GSA has. The EPA is out there to protect the environment, and we all know what the IRS is out there for. So their main focus is not on buying the products and services that they need to continue their work. The common use items that any business would need to continue doing their work, and which includes through our public building service, the actual construction and repair and alteration of our federal buildings. If you are providing anything that has to do with in the construction industries, which would include architecture, as I said, any kind of repair and alteration, any kind of special, if you're repairing roofs and installing windows and doing painting, interior painting or exterior painting, all of those types of contracts come under the GSA public building side of the house. And we, as I said, we're required to do that contracting for other agencies as well as for our to keep our federal buildings in good repair and to have them continue to do what it is that they need to do uh, to focus on their mission. When it comes to the Federal Acquisition Service, that is the contracting side of the house that does purchasing of any kind of commercial off-the-shelf type products and services, things that agencies can buy on a in bulk, that they can buy, that every government agency would use, just like any business would use to keep their business going. Furniture, computers, professional services, any light bulbs, anything, cleaning products, anything that a government agency would use. We can establish a contract with the vendor through our Federal Acquisition Service so that we can make those products available to the government agencies at large, military and federal, nationwide, so that that can be accessible to them through a GSA schedule contract. Next slide, please. My office is the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. An overview of my office is that we were established as by law, public law, to make sure that as the contracting, all these contracts are being let out, all this contracting is going on, that each agency is providing the maximum practicable opportunity for all small businesses as well as large, and for all the socioeconomic categories of small business to have a part of the contract to do work. So in other words, all this work's not just going out to the large businesses. The small businesses can have a part in every contract, be it as a prime or be it as a subcontractor. We ensure the inclusion of small businesses as a source for the goods and services for federal acquisitions, so that for primes and subs. And we manage the small business utilization programs for our respective organizations. Each agency has an OSDBU office under their key offices. So if you're interested in finding out some information on a particular agency or how to do work with a government agency, you can just go into the Google site and locate the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization in that agency. And that would be your front door, your foot in the door, to find out information about that agency. Next slide, please. When it comes to the General Services Administration, this is how we're set up. We are broken into regional offices, and each regional office is staffed with a small business specialist who have specific information about the region, but also have information on contracting as a whole, the national contracting. So I myself am located in the region 3 in the Philadelphia. We are headquartered in Philadelphia. We have a 6-state region. We're the Mid-Atlantic region, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and Southern New Jersey. So if you're interested in working in that particular area, you can get in touch with our office, and we'll be glad to work with you and let you know what kind of contracts are available and how you can get your foot in the door with government contracting. There's a website here. There's a link. And if you would like to find out who the contact is in any of the other regional offices, all you have to do is go onto that link, and you'll be able to locate the contact information, names, telephone numbers, email addresses for small business specialists in the other regions. Next slide, please. What we do is we provide training and education to increase understanding of GSA. So just as we're doing this webinar today, would like to give you some information and to give you answer the questions that you might have about doing business with GSA. We do host and attend small business events, and we are interested in bringing as many small businesses into the contracting arena as we can. So in that vein, we do conduct one-on-one counseling sessions. We develop tools to assist the acquisition workforce to find you, and we advocate for the small business. And we have plenty of reviews and internal and approve internal acquisition strategies to make sure that small businesses are included in every contracting opportunity, as I said, either as the prime contractor or a sub. Next slide, please. We support the acquisition workforce, and we train them also because it's, you can have as many great plans and great rules in the agency on how to bring small businesses in. But if the acquisition workforce isn't up to date on those rules and all those opportunities for small businesses, it really doesn't do anybody any good. So we do train the acquisition workforce. We do keep your information in front of them on a constant basis. We do make sure that, as I said, that we are providing as an agency the maximum practicable opportunity for all vendors to work with the government. Next slide, please. The other than small business contractors are required, anyone who is a large business, which we refer to as other than small, are required when they are awarded a contract that's over $750,000, and for construction it's 1.5 million. If it reaches that dollar value, which includes the contract plus all the options, then they are required before award to submit a subcontracting plan to us that we will approve with them. We'll work with them and make sure that that small businesses are included, and that every socioeconomic category of small business, small disadvantaged veteran-owned small business, service disabled veteran-owned small business, women in small businesses, and small businesses located in historically underutilized business zones. We make sure that they have plans to utilize the services of all of those different types of businesses, as well as small businesses in general, in the completion of their contract. So that becomes a material part of the contract that they've agreed to before contract award. So we do work with the larger businesses, those businesses that are considered other than small, before award, to make sure that they are aware that they should be subcontracting out, or they must be subcontracting out to small business. Next slide, please. Now to get into just a primer of what subcontracting is about and why we're interested, why the government is so interested in bringing small businesses in as a subcontractor, because subcontracting with a small business is a major factor that contributes to the United States economy, and includes new job creation. It's important to the government to as the standing of our economy, that small businesses are involved in government contracting. Next slide, please. So as I said, every prime before award must agree to a subcontracting plan as a part of his contract. So where they are required to provide evidence and a plan that they are going to provide the maximum practicable opportunity for small businesses to compete, to be involved in that contract. But more than that, the prime is looking, all right, the prime knows that they have to bring small businesses in, but that we tell them you have to involve small business, but we don't tell them what small business or in what capacity that small business has to be involved. So what they're looking for, a prime wants someone who will bring a solution as they're coming in. They're not just someone who's approaching them and saying, I'm a small business, I'd like to have a piece of your contract. It has to be a mutually beneficial relationship between the small business and the prime business. A prime is looking to see if you can bring an opportunity for them to participate in a set aside the vendor that's awarded the contract does not necessarily have to be um, the large business. There are plenty of small contracts out there, that are set aside for small businesses who, when they review the contracts, they say, "Oh, well, this one is what I do, but it's really too big for me." You can, as a small business, subcontract out. You can subcontract out to a large business who typically has an expertise in that field. So as long as you are doing a portion of the work, a set portion of the work, you can take the lead, and you can have that relationship with the large business that you are the prime on this contract, and that they're subcontracting to you. So that way the prime gets access to some work that they typically would not have access to, because they are subbing to you, who have the opportunity to compete on a set aside, something that's set aside for small business. As a subcontractor, you emphasize what it is you can do to assist the prime. So that's something that you can bring to the table. You can bring opportunities to the table. You can bring all kinds of solutions, meaning your expertise and your experience to the table. You have to be able to provide to them what it is that you're going to do to enhance their business. As I said, we are expecting them to subcontract out portions of their work. We are not requiring them to use a specific vendor. We are not requiring them to use a vendor in a small business in a specific way. This is their contract, and they're going to, even though they know they have to bring the small businesses in, it's going to be their decision how they're going to use that small business. Next slide, please. This is right now for this fiscal year, these are the subcontracting goals that are assigned to every large contract that goes out. So when a prime is awarded a contract, they do agree that they should be using in the minimum, this is the very floor, at a minimum, they should be using at least 22% of that. The dollar value of that contract should go to be subbed out to small business. 5% going to small disadvantaged business, 5% to women-owned businesses, 5% to service disabled veteran-owned businesses, 5% to veteran-owned businesses, and of course 3% to the historically underutilized business zone vendors. So these are the requirements, or the what we expect the primes to do as I said, at the very, very minimum. These are the types of firms that they're looking for. The way you can find out about how a prime is achieving their small business goals is that you can go to the scorecard. The SBA keeps a scorecard on how agencies are doing on achieving these small business goals with our vendors. So there's information on how you can why the vendors are looking for these small businesses, and the breakdown. Next slide, please. As I said, since they're looking for these types of small businesses, the first thing you want to do is you want to come to them and say, I am a women-owned business. I am a service disabled veteran-owned business. I am a small disadvantaged business. The Small Business Administration contracting programs that are available, you can go on the internet, and I encourage you, if you haven't done it before, please go on the internet, see if you can, if your firm fits into any of these categories. I understand the small disadvantaged business category has changed its requirements slightly, and they made it a little easier for vendors. So if you've looked before and you felt you haven't fit into the programs, please look again. But these programs are important they're important to government agencies. They're important to your prime contractors, then this is what you need to, it should be important to you. This is what you want to look at and see if that you can fit yourself into any of these categories. There is the website that you can go to. It explains each of the categories, so that you can submit an application if any of these suit the type of business you are. Next slide, please. And that's continued onto the the 8A Small Business Development Program. Small Business Administration has a mentor protege program. I mentioned a couple of times the Hub Zone program. Check and see if you can fit your business into any of these categories. As I said, they're important to the government agencies as a whole. They're important to the small businesses, so they should be important to you. And even though sometimes the applications are kind of long and maybe repetitive of information you've given at other times, it's certainly worth your while to get yourself into any of these programs if you can. Next slide, please. Okay, subcontracting. What's in it for the small firms? Well, the small firms, of course, it opens up a lot of work to you. There's only one prime that gets awarded a major contract. There's a construction contract. One prime is getting the award. There's can be hundreds of uh, smaller contracts that come from that. A lot of subcontracts that come from that. So it's important that you're aware of what the subcontracting arena is, what vendors have been awarded contracts as primes. It helps you to get started with government contracting. If you've never done government contracting before, it's a low risk fashion for you to find out about what government contracting is about. Remember, when you're subcontracting, you are contracting with the prime. You are not contracting with the government, but you're going to find out what is involved in a government contract just by doing completing your portion of the contract for the prime. So it's a low risk fashion of getting into government contracting. As I said, it helps you learn the ways of government contracting in a more scalable fashion so that you can understand more of what government contracting is about. It helps you in developing your past performance. That's, of course, a very important part that you're constantly developing your past performance and that you have good references after that. And it gets your foot in the door with government agencies. When you're working on a government contract, as a sub, you do have contact with people within that agency, and it gives them a good opportunity to see the kind of work that you do and to get to know your company. Next slide, please. As I said, when you're pursuing a subcontracting opportunity, you must be the solution to the problem that the prime is facing. So this is your attitude. Your attitude isn't, I'm helping you achieve your goals. The attitude is, I am the solution to any problem you have. So what you're going to do is you're going to start. This is your work that starts now. Even before you contact the large businesses, you have to perform the market research to identify which prime contractors you are going to approach. You want to identify subcontracting opportunities. If you can find as I said, a set aside, if you can find any way that you can be involved in a contract and bring in the large business as the prime, that's something that you're bringing to the table. So you want to market your services and you want to market yourself to the prime contractor, but you come with your expertise, information about your company, information about the expertise, your past experience, what you're going to bring to them, how you're going to serve them. And that's the way you would approach a government agency. So that's you have to develop a strategy, a unique marketing strategy, how you're going to participate in government contracting. and then look into other companies, including small businesses who do already hold a current contract of any kind. If you have a competitor who has a GSA scheduled contract, and the likelihood is they're getting a lot of work. So you can contact that small business, that other small business, that competitor, and just say, any opportunity for subcontracting on this contract. So you can go to the GSA electronic library, get a listing of those vendors who are already have contracts, and start to reach out to them to let them know that you're interested in subcontracting opportunities. Perhaps subcontracting isn't something that they've actually approached before. They're a small business themselves, and you're approaching them and saying, gee, I can provide part of this service. You can extend your market. You're located physically in New York, but I can extend your market into the Philadelphia area by being a sub on your contract. So you think of the strategies, and you want to know how you approach these businesses with your solution to the problem. Sometimes it's a problem they didn't know they had. Next slide, please. Okay, when you discover a subcontracting opportunity, the first thing you want to do, if there's a set subcontracting opportunity, evaluate whether it is an opportunity that would benefit your firm. Before you start any of this conversation, and before you approach any agency, you have to do a little research. Is this something that would benefit your firm? Will you be able to complete what it is that you say you do? Do you have the staff? Do you have the time? Do you have the finances that are going to be required to enter into a subcontracting relationship with a certain vendor? So evaluate whether the opportunity is going to benefit you from the start. You're going to assess your capabilities. Excuse me. Assess the reputation of the prime. Find out about all this information before you start contacting people. Will partnering with this firm add to the development of quality past performance for you? Is this something that your company has expertise in, and is going to, this is the core part of your business that you're going to want to extend, or you want to develop further. So will the partnering with this firm develop the quality past performance record that you want to be able to have in your pocket to present to other government, to other primes, or to other government agencies? Next slide, please. You're going to develop some strategies, and you have to develop these strategies before you contact any prime contractor, before you contact any government agency. You want to know what it is that you're looking to do. So you're going to conduct your market research. You want to know who's buying, or who has a current need for what it is that you're selling. What contractor has just been awarded a contract, and he might be looking for subcontractors who's buying what it is that you want to offer. You have to have a clear understanding of what's going on in the market. This is the market that you're in, that you have an expertise in. If there's something that's going on in the market that you can provide extra expertise on, updated information, new technology on. This is things that you want to present. So you want to conduct market research to find out how it is you're going to approach the agency. You're going to identify your target agencies. You just don't want to start hitting, and it says agencies, but you can substitute vendors, prime contractors here also. You have to develop your leads, identify your targets, who's just received a contract. You're going to do some research to find out who already has a government contract, who has been bidding on a government contract. So you're going to identify a couple of target markets. You don't want to just go to everybody, but you want to sort of cultivate your relationship with your target market that you want to approach. You're going to develop a strategic plan. You're going to figure out what your short-term goals are here and what your long-term goals are. There's a company that does a lot of government work. They haven't gotten an award uh, this fiscal year, but that might be a long-term goal to break into that company. Whereas there's a company that you're aware just has gotten a recent award, and that would be a short-term goal that you want to develop all the information on that short term on that company so that you have information that would be that you could use quickly. So you're going to have long-term goals, you're going to have short-term goals. You're going to develop the marketing strategy, which activities that how you're going to break into that market, which activities you're going to pursue. Are you going to go contact them and send them and ask for a meeting? Are you going to start out by sending them uh, your capability statement? How are you going to break into that agency? How are you going to break into um, that company? And that depends on what the climate is within that company. Now, a lot of companies, if you go onto their website, you'll see they have a tab on that website says, introduce your company, or do you want to work with us? Or it gives you an opportunity to, or it gives you guidance on how they want you to approach them. Send us your information first. Then you can look through that website and you can see who is the small business development officer. Um, you want to go step by step by step, but always follow their lead. How do they want to be contacted? And do so that when you do contact the business development officer there, and they'll say, "Oh, did you fill out our on the website we have that. Oh, I've already done that. Yes, you have my information. Yes, I'd like to send you my capability statement. I'd like, you have a plan on how you're going to approach this. But you have identified the way they want to be approached. Because if you're just barreling your way in and saying, I'm going to do it my way, you're already starting a bad relationship. You want to do everything according to the way that they want to see this relationship build. And then you're going to just refine your approach with them. Make sure that you are approaching them in the way they want to be approached. You can always confer with your small business officer at an agency and say, what's your experience with this firm? Is there any opportunity to meet with this firm or to meet with the contracting officers? Uh, uh, but I've already taken these other steps. That's not the first thing you want to do. I've already taken these other steps as to reach out to this prime contractor. Next slide, please. Now, the way you're going to find these prime contractors is the government does offer a lot of tools that are there, and there's a lot of different ways of using them. So you're going to spend time and you're going to do your research. And the easiest way to do your research is just utilizing the tools that the government provides. The SAM.gov, everybody's familiar with SAM.gov. And yes, I have registered on SAM.gov, but so I'm going to cross that off the list. Now, there's a lot of ways to use SAM.gov, and we're going to go through a little bit of it, but there's a lot of ways of finding out what agency does contracting, what agency is going to come up with contracting in the near future, who the typical vendors are that are going to be utilizing that or bidding on that contract. There's a lot of excellent information on the SAM.gov website. If you mine the information, you can find contracting officers. There's the biggest one of the most frequent questions I get is who is the purchase? How do I find a purchasing officer? Who's the purchasing officer for my product or service when it comes to working with the government? And all you have to do is go into SAM.gov and go into the archives and see who's done the purchasing at any government agency for that product or service. Right there is the name of a contracting officer who does purchasing for a certain product or service that you might be selling, and you can get in touch with them and just say, is there anything coming up in the near future that I should be aware of? Often they're going to point you to the GSA to the forecast of contracting opportunities. Every government agency has a forecast of contracting opportunities. GSA, we are very serious about our forecasts. So we put every time anything is in the acquisition planning stages, anything that is just initially being thought of as coming up for purchasing through our system is going to be posted on our forecast tool. And you're going to have a heads up. You're going to have that this is what you would use for your long-term goals. That I see that the government GSA is going to do construction of a building in a certain area in Philadelphia. And this is coming up in the fourth quarter of the fiscal year. There's going to be a lot of people bidding that contract. So you want to follow that contract. You want to put that down as your long-term goal, because as they do the construction, they are eventually going to need furniture in that building. They're going to eventually need whatever it is you're selling in that building. So it's something that you want to follow. Every government agency is required by law to put a forecast up, so you get an idea of what kind of contracting, how the government is spending your money. And so when we have the forecast up there, then you know that there's going to be activity in a certain geographic area and for a certain type of product or service. So it gives you good information and a good lead on what it is you're going to be looking for when you go to SAM, when you are approaching the government agencies. I'm sorry, the prime contractors is another piece of information that you take a prime. If you want to get in touch with a certain prime and you say, I have noticed that I've reviewed on the forecast of contracting opportunities, and I see in the fourth quarter that there's going to be a purchase for this type of information, for this type of product or this type of service. So if you are interested in bidding on that, if you are going to be a part of that bidding, I'd like to, bring you the information on that. So you're bringing something to the table for them. You're bringing them information about something that's going to be happening in the future. As I said, if you find out on the forecast that it's going to be a set aside, you can approach the agency and say, would you be the company and say, would you be interested in subcontracting with me? If I go for this contract, if I'm bidding on this contract. So there's a lot of good information in the SAM.gov, a lot of good information in the forecast that you can use to approach a company, a prime vendor, and let them know that you've done your homework and you know what's going on in the government marketplace. The GSA has an electronic library. As I said, this is a listing of all the agencies, all the companies, the private companies that have already have contracts set up with GSA. And you can approach them and say, I'd be interested in subcontracting. I'd be interested in helping you expand your market. I'd be interested. This is what I do. This is my expertise. Have you considered subcontracting out on your contract, whether it's a large business or small business? GSA and all government agencies actually have a subcontracting directory, which is a listing of all the primes that have current contracts, ongoing contracts. It has a listing of the primes. It has a listing of their small business office, the person that you're supposed to get your information into their hands, and it has their contact information. So again, this is information that you're going to create a portfolio of information on every prime that you speak to, every piece of information that you find out for that company, for that agency, all of what's coming up that they might be interested in. You are starting to develop your portfolio of information so that you never approach a prime without any background information at hand. This SBA Dynamic Small Business Search, I do always want to make mention of this. The Dynamic Search is an excellent tool for you to get your information out there. It gives you an opportunity to expand on what you do. It's used constantly by government purchasing officers, primes use this dynamic small business search. I know city and state agencies use it. So you always want to put your best foot forward when you're putting your information into the dynamic small business search. Expand on your skills and let people know what it is you can do. And what I always suggest, this is something that's open to the public. You can go in there, put your competitor's name in, see how your competitor is presenting himself, see how the other small businesses are, because it is restricted to small business. See how the small businesses uh, are presenting themselves, and then look at your own profile and say, where do I need to beef this up? Where do I need to give more information about myself? Because this is one of the first things that agencies and primes look at when they are looking for small business partners. Next slide, please. So this is basically what you're going to do. You're going to have your agency or your company profile, and you're going to put down budgetary information. Is this going to be something that you want to participate in? Is this going to work for your budget, for your do you have the staff that will able you to complete what it is that you're saying to them? You want to just check it out, make sure that it is beneficial to you. You want to find out who the key players are in an agency, the prime vendor. Who are the key players? Who's the small business liaison officer there? Who are some of the people that attend the meetings, government meetings? Keep a list of your key players and always introduce yourself to them when you have any opportunity. You want to check out, always be aware of what are the upcoming opportunities, what's in the forecast, what's coming up in the near future, what's coming up in the distant future, just so that you can start to follow and you have information on that, whatever it is that project that's coming up. You'll be able to find out if you follow the project. You're going to follow. There might be networking sessions. There might be due diligence meetings. There might be walkthroughs. There might be whatever the agency or the company is providing for that particular project. You want to participate in all of it, because it always gives you an opportunity to meet someone who is going to bid the project. It gives you an opportunity to network with some of the key players who are participating in government contracting. Again, you want to make sure that you want to just check them out for the small business goals. Do they reach their small business goals? Do they are they you can call like an OSDBU office. We can check on an individual vendor. Are they, if this particular vendor, if you're a woman-owned business and this particular vendor, even though the government has a 5% goal and they're reaching 45% on their contracts, maybe that's not the best lead in. You want to lead in with something else, but it's always something, of course, you want to make mention of, but you don't rely extremely heavily on your socioeconomic um, participation, on your socioeconomic certifications. But of course, it's important that you do make mention of them. And who is your competition? Who typically works with this vendor? If this prime contractor typically has a set of vendors that they work for, their go-to people, you're going to learn about that, and maybe you want to be a second tier rather than first tier subcontractor. You want to get your foot in the door any way you can, and then that's how you develop your past performance. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, SAM.gov gives you a wealth of information if you learn how to mine the information. So it's all there. It's not, of course, you've registered and you have, put your information in there. The truth is that as a subcontractor, you're not required to be on the SAM.gov system unless the prime asks for it. Now, some primes can set up their own rules. Remember, as I said, when you're working with a prime, you're working for the prime. You're not working for the government. Even though it's in the completion of a government contract, your main point of contact is the prime. So you do what the prime asks. If the prime wants you on sam.gov, then you're on sam.gov. The good thing about being on the sam.gov website is that once you're registered, you can get a lot of other information that is not typically available if you're just going in there and perusing, such as there is an interested vendors list. And if you see a project that's coming up that you might be interested in, that you can't, you know that you're not going to be able to complete the entire project. It's a large project. But if you list yourself as an interested vendor, you're going to be notified when there's a networking session. You're going to be notified when there's a walkthrough. You're going to be notified. You go anytime there's an update on that contract. You're going to get that notification by being listed as an interested vendor, but you can't list yourself as an interested vendor unless you yourself are registered. So sam.gov is always an important registry to have for anybody who wants to do work in any capacity with the government. Next slide, please. The way you want to do this is you want to click on the contracting opportunities tab, and then you want to go to the advanced search. And when you go to the advanced search, it offers you a listing of filters that you can filter down to what kind of opportunity you're looking for. And that they're going to give you an opportunity to follow through contracts. They're going to give you can look at the pre-solicitation notices. You can look at the sources sought, which vendors or agencies put out when they're looking for sources. So sources sought for a particular contract that's going to be the government is going to be doing. Well, now you have information on a contract the government is going to be letting out because you were involved and you saw what the sources sought. They're out there looking for sources for a particular type of work. So these are the ways of mining the information. Pre-solicitation notices, solicitation notices, just to keep a record of what kind of contracting is going on in a particular agency. And then you can bring that information to your prime. Next slide, please. How to access the forecast tool. Here's the websites for the forecast. These links are active so that when you get your slides, you can, just click onto the forecast. No username or password is required here. It's open to the public. You can go in there and check. It's a living document where we update it on a regular basis to let you know what stage any acquisition is in. Is it in the planning stages? Is it in the, have we gone out for bid? All that information, dollar value, point of contact, all of that information is there. These are people that you want to keep in touch. You say, okay, now I know who the contracting officer is for that particular purchase. It hasn't gone out on the street yet, but I have the name of the contracting officer. I have the dollar value. I have the NAICS codes. It gives you a lot of information that you can keep. So you want to keep a record of all this information as you're mining your information so that you can start to be a subcontractor and be a valued subcontractor for the primes. Next slide, please. Again, this is what the forecast looks. There's a way to that you can, there's a lot of filters there that you can filter down for the types of information that you're looking for. On the GSA forecast, not only is there information on GSA, but there is information on the Department of the Interior, Department of Labor, U.S. Small Business Administration, OPM, and a few other agencies. We are looking to expand the number of agencies that utilize our forecast. As I said, every agency is required by law to post a forecast, and you can go into the other agencies' recurring procurement forecast. That link there, it will take you to a site that will let you go into a specific agency and view their forecast also. But the GSA forecast, as they said, does have several agencies. And here's a great way to filter for the information that you're looking for so that you can add it to your the portfolio that you're keeping on particular projects. Next slide, please. The GSA Multiple Award Schedule e-library. This is the website for the electronic library. It's a listing of all government vendors who are on the GSA schedule. And also list the vendors who are on all of our GWACs or all of our contracting vehicles. And you can go through this and you can say, you can check out and see who the large businesses are who have a GSA schedule. So you can start to look through, contact them. There's, as I said, you can also look for the small business vendors. And a lot of small business vendors are large enough that they want to branch out. And you want to get in touch with them and let them know that you are interested in doing work, subcontracting with them. That you don't have to, subcontracts can come through as a small business, as the prime, and you as the sub. So that's a good way to get your foot in the door with government contracting also. Next slide, please. We do have a subcontracting directory, which is a listing of the primes that now have active contracts, that now are working on government contracts. So in the GSA subcontracting directory has GSA, of course, prime contractors. You get the name of a contractor, and you can go onto their website and start to mine their information. Do they have a tab where they want you to post your information? Do they have the name of the contracting, the small business contact person? Actually, the subcontracting directory will give you not only the name of the company, what NAICS code that they're listed under, who the subcontracting officer, I'm sorry, the small business officer in that company is, and their telephone number and contact information. Next slide, please. There is, of course, a nationwide subcontracting I'm sorry, not only for GSA, but for all government agencies. When a large business, this particular slide does give information on how the GSA subcontracting site is set up, and you can search it by location, you can search it by NAICS. Any prime contractor, any large business who receives a federal contract over $750,000 or 1.5 million for construction must be listed here, must be have their information listed because they do have to submit a subcontracting plan before the award is made. So all of these vendors do already have their award. Next slide, please. Again, the dynamic small business, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you have a very complete profile of your company. It's usually the first when a firm is looking for subcontractors, when a firm has been contacted by a subcontractor, it's one of the first places that we will look just to see how you list yourself, what your profile is. So you want to make sure that you fill it out completely. I can't tell you how many times I've gone in here looking for small businesses who can do some sort of work or that I would like to contact, and all they don't have a link to their web page. They don't have the information listed on their what it is that they can do for what they do themselves. It just an incomplete profile just means I'm going on to the next person. So make sure you, as I said, you have a good, you have answered all of you've taken every opportunity to answer any question that's asked on here. Next slide, please.
Line at 1056.
Okay. Again, capabilities, narrative, keywords, anything that you need to put, that you can put on here to show who you are and what you do is important. Next slide, please. Include any distinguishing qualifications, security clearances, anything you do, any certifications you have, any experience and past references that you can put on here. Make it available so that people don't have to go researching, because if you don't have it available, the next person will. Next slide, please. add your capability statement. A link to your capability statement is now a feature that you can put on in the small business database. So make sure you put that on there for vendors to review. Next slide, please. What do you bring to the table? That's what it's all about. What are you bringing to the table? Next slide. Make sure that your capability statement, that you have a good capability statement, that you utilize every piece of past performance that you have, anything that makes you that differentiates your work from what typically is provided. So have a good capability statement that you can present at a minute's notice. It's got to be something that's available. Your PTech or your APEX Accelerator can work with you to get a good capability statement. It's not the same type of capability statement that you're going to offer your commercial customers. You're going to want to put information that is specific to government contracting. Next slide, please. Here's another, a format for a capability statement. Make it as noticeable for your company. Put a logo here, put some kind of piece of information, even if you can put a picture of yourself. I can't tell you how many times I go to these networking sessions and we all start out with we're out there, we're looking for businesses, we want, oh, this is a good one, I'm going to put a check here, I'm going to make sure I remember this person. And then when you get back to the office after you've met 50 people that day, you go, oh, I know I saw somebody that I really liked. What was it? What was the distinguishing characteristic that will make me pull your capability statement or be able to find your capability statement and all that I've collected? So you do want to make this utilizing certain colors, utilizing any kind of a logo. Make sure that it is something that is recognizable, because oftentimes you hand them, we hand these things out, and as good of our intentions are, it's difficult to recognize them on the next day. Next slide, please. What the large primes are asking us: what's your relationship with an agency? Do you have a relationship with an agency? Who have you talked to in that agency? Do you have any contract vehicles that you're a part of right now? Are you in the 8A? Are you certified through Small Business Administration as a women-owned business? Are you certified as a hub zone business? Do you have any, relevant past performance in what I'm looking for? Have you ever worked with a large business before? What is your unique expertise? This is what the large businesses want to know. First meeting, this is what they want to know. Next slide, please. Past performance is always evaluated. Make sure your past performance, that you can access some past performance, that you can access a reference. Reliable references are always very important. They will check your references. If you are giving someone that you've worked with in the past as a reference, make sure that person knows that you're doing it, because oftentimes we'll call and say, oh, you've worked with this person in the past, and they go, gee, I don't remember. So make sure people know if you're giving their information for a reference. Similar experience and past performance are two different factors, and be aware if somebody's asking for past performance for construction, some kind of a construction work, you don't say, well, I did a roof. That's not past performance on what they're asking for. So be aware of what you're offering the companies. Excuse me, what kind of past performance you're offering them. Next slide, please. To succeed in subcontracting, you must hyper focus on your company first, on your strongest core. Be able to and you think that you can talk very well and give a profile of your company very well, but just make sure that you are highlighting your core competencies and be ready to discuss what it is you do. Have a template made for your contact. Make sure that you are following a structured plan. You're not just calling and saying, what do you have available? you have a structured plan to make this a professional call and to get the best use out of the 3 minutes, the 5 minutes, whatever the company is offering you. You do want to have a plan that you can check off a checklist that you can say, yes, I did cover this, I did cover this. Choose a small number of agencies or primes to target with. Kind of focus on what you're doing. A little bit of everything is not a lot of help, but a lot on a particular company, a lot that you can say, yes, I know about your company. That offers a lot to the, now you're offering something. You're coming and saying, I have knowledge of you, and this is what I want you to know about me. Have your capability statements. And your large and small business points of contact must be, you should keep information on them. Research ideal small business partners. You're going to have a portfolio of contacts when this is all done. Next slide, please. Attend any industry day, schedule calls. When you have if you do meet with someone, if you have a matchmaking session, if you meet someone at an industry day, schedule a call, a follow-up call. Always schedule the follow-up call or schedule a follow-up email so that you can continue the conversation. They want to, again, if you're at a matchmaking session, you might be a very valuable contact for them, but there's a lot of people that they meet that day. So be sure that you schedule a continuing call. Next slide, please. These are tips for your success. Respond to the RFIs and the sources sought notices. Respond to everything that's out there so that you get your name into people's hands. There's a social sought notice. You want to respond to it. You want to get onto the attend any industry days, introduce yourself around, take information, follow up with that person. Manage your time at the matchmaking events. You might, as I said, go see everybody and come away with a little bit of information, but not a lot on anybody. So manage your time and make sure that you see the people that you want to see. Network with other GSA contractors. They are not your competitors. They are they are people that you want to work with. So always introduce yourself to GSA contractors that you can do some work with on their contract also. And if you are on the GSA schedule, of course, you're always checking the e-buy for opportunities also, whether they're large or too small. The same rules that apply for SAM.gov will apply for GSA e-buy opportunities. But again, that is restricted to GSA contract holders. Next slide, please. Do attend the pre-proposal conferences around a specific job. Even if the job is too big for you, you want to find out, you want to be able to meet the industry partners who are going to bid the job. So it's a way to find out who's going to bid the job and how you can start a relationship early on with them. Respond to the sources sought, update your SAM profile on a regular basis. Bid on projects that you feel are within your capacity. Direct questions to the contracting officer. Join with as many. Look at all the different avenues for contracting with the primes. Look for the different avenues to contract with the agencies. Next slide, please. And you utilize your APEX accelerators, your small business offices at every agency, the Small Business Administration. All of these agencies can give you information and can give you tips on what's my next step now. I've already called this person. I've already sent them my information. What's my next step? Next slide, please. I just wanted to make note that the GSA is having a meeting, a virtual meeting for vendors. It's an educational meeting. It's called Small Business Works. It's on May the 9th. There's going to be a lot of information given on specific ways of contracting with government agencies. So it does require registration. There's a link there for the registration. Please, if you have the if you're able to join us for the educational seminars. Again, it's virtual, it's free, it's good information for you. Please register and attend this event. Next slide, please. And any questions that you have that you can, I hope we have time to answer any questions we have now. If you think of questions later, you can email me, you can email my coworker Claudia. We're both small business specialists with the GSA, and we can hopefully provide some information, and we can show you your next step, how you can forward any information that you have to people in our organization, or we can provide you some information on where you want to go from here. And that actually concludes the presentation. I don't know if we have time for questions and answers.
So all the questions have been addressed at the moment, and I also am encouraging everyone to in the chat, and we welcome any other questions